My entitled sister demands that I pay for her husband's surgery with my inheritance money. Context: my sister, 27 female, and I, 18 female, lost our dad a year ago. He was my only parent. Mom was never in mine or my sister's life. Dad left money, inheritance, for me and my sister, and she used her inheritance to get new cars and renovate her house. I live with my aunt right now because my brother-in-law didn't let me stay with my sister. I'm planning on using my inheritance money to pay for college tuition. I've always wanted to be a doctor, but haven't decided which branch yet. Before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe to never miss out on new stories. My sister and I haven't been close. It started after she got married to her chronically ill husband, who was allowed to make backhanded comments about Dad and mock his illness and make a scene at his funeral, only because he's ill and shouldn't be held accountable for his behavior. I've distanced myself, but my sister kept visiting a lot lately, venting about my brother-in-law's condition. He's been in and out of the hospital for heart problems and in need of surgery. She brought up my inheritance money several times, but I end up cutting the conversation. She then straight up asked if I could pay for her husband's surgery, and she'd pay back in less than a year. I felt uneasy because if I give her money from my inheritance, which is a large amount, then there's no guarantee she'll pay back before it's time to apply for college. I'm taking a year gap, but I know my sister can't pay back that much, and I felt I was risking my future. I refused to help, and she had a meltdown at my aunt's house, calling me heartless, cruel, with no empathy. She said that her husband's health should be a priority, and I needed to help because education is nothing compared to someone's health, and asked if I'd be happy to see her as a widow, and my nephew with no father. My aunt suggested others pay, but most of them cut my sister and her husband off. I argued that her husband's poor health isn't my fault, after she kept blaming and guilt-tripping me. She kept crying, and although my aunt decided to stay out of it, she said that I should be prepared for permanent damage in my relationship with my sister if I don't help her now. She's been sending texts and pictures of her family, telling me this is what I was saying no to: a happy, healthy family with a healthy husband and father. I cried and felt like I was being selfish, not a good aunt and sister. I asked my friend, and he said, let them sell the cars and all the luxurious stuff they bought to afford the surgery, and warned me if I give them money, I'll never get it back, and may not be able to go to medical school. Like the OP's friend said, if the sister isn't willing to sell her cars so she can live her luxurious lifestyle instead of paying for her husband's treatment, there's nothing you can do. I think the sister is just trying to take advantage of the OP, and it's good she's got a friend there to help her avoid making the wrong decision. The husband was also shown to be very disrespectful at the OP's father's funeral, which is a very sensitive time, and there's no room for disrespect and pettiness from a full-grown adult. If I was you, I would definitely not give your sister the money, as she can clearly afford it herself if she'd just cut back on her lifestyle. It's also said a lot of the other family members have stopped talking to them, which suggests that they are most likely the problem. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I the a-hole for banning my teenage daughter's friends from our house because she made fun of my weight? I, 37 female, have 2 kids with my husband, 41 male, a 14-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. Our daughter has always been a little socially awkward, to the point that we've had her tested since we suspected her of being on the spectrum. Turns out she isn't on the spectrum, she's just a natural introvert. However, this year in school, we were thrilled when our daughter made a new friend her age, since that is an area in which she struggles. Long story short, she recently invited her new friend over, with our approval, to have dinner at our house and then spend the night. So my daughter's friend came over. My husband is usually the cook in the family, and this night was no exception. He made us all a really nice meal. During the course of said meal, I asked my daughter's friend, "Are you enjoying the food?" She responded, "Yes, your husband is a great cook. No wonder you've ended up a bigger woman." The room got quiet for several moments. My husband tried to laugh it off and change the subject, but I wasn't having it. The girl had just leveled a completely uncalled for insult at me. My daughter's friend seemed to realize that she'd messed up, but didn't say anything else. We finished an awkward dinner in mostly silence, and my daughter's friend stayed the night. This was a couple of months ago. Recently, my daughter asked if she could have her friend back over, and I told her, sure, if she's going to apologize to me. When our daughter asked what I meant, I reminded her of what she'd said. My daughter responded that it was over and she didn't want to bring it up again. She then went to her father and asked. He said sure, but she then told him what I'd said. He came came to me and said that our daughter's friend just felt awkward and tried to make a joke. For the sake of our daughter, can't you just let it go? Yes, I could, but the thing is that I just want an apology from the girl. I need to see that she understands how rude she was before I can get on board with her and my daughter hanging out. My husband says that I'm being weird for insisting on an apology from a 14-year-old, especially since that girl is such a good friend of our daughter. I think it's weird that I'm still waiting for an apology from that same girl. Seriously, that's all I need. I just need to know that any friend of my daughter is willing to own up to her screw-ups. As the OP's husband said, the friend just made a joke that didn't land. I think the OP has been very petty here, as the friend is only 14. I also don't think the mother has taken into account that the daughter's friend is also probably socially awkward, which is why the two clicked so well. I know I've been in awkward situations when you first meet somebody and you don't say stuff you normally would. Although weight may be a sensitive topic for the OP, she really needs to stop reading into it and just let it go. What do you guys think? Am I the a-hole for making my parents choose between my sister going to jail or replacing my car with their vacation money? I, 17 female, live with my parents. I have an older sister, 29 female, that they had when they were super young. Like, I think my mom was 19 and my dad was 18. They did not do a great job with her, and she has a lot of problems. She's chronically unemployed, and she's a thief. She has 2 kids that are okay. They live with us as well because her boyfriend didn't want them around. I like the kids, but they are spoiled little brats my parents dote on to make up for being crappy parents to their mom. My parents won't let me put a lock on my door because it's their house and they don't want that. No problem. I talked to the kids and explained about what would happen if they came into my room without permission. We have an understanding. Well, my sister broke up with her boyfriend and she needed a place to stay. I begged my parents not to let her stay with us. They declined. So I begged again for a lock for my door. No dice. I have to go to school, so I can't guard my stuff at all times. When I came home on Friday, I found my car absolutely trashed and the side of it destroyed. My sister had gone into my room, found my spare key, and taken my car. Then lost control on the ice after a day of eating crap and tossing fast food wrappers everywhere. She sideswiped a tree. When I saw my car, I was livid. I told my parents that I expected her to pay to fix it. They said she didn't have any money, so I said that I would call my grandparents. They had helped me get the car and insurance. After talking with my grandfather, I came back to talk to my parents. I said that the insurance would cover fixing or replacing my car depending on the damage, but I would have to file a police report, and that my sister would probably be charged for stealing my car. They begged me to tell the insurance that she had permission. I said nope. So rather than go through insurance, they're replacing my car, but they're using money that they had set aside to take me and my nieces to Orlando next summer for my graduation. It's fine, I can do without seeing Disney World again, but my parents, sister, and nieces are upset with me and saying that I'm an a-hole for denying my nieces the opportunity to go on a vacation that they've never had. I just asked them if a lock for my door would have been cheaper. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Hey, I just got home from school. There is a deadbolt on my bedroom door, and my mom gave me a key. She says that she's keeping the other one for emergencies. I agreed, as long as it was only for emergencies. I'm glad the OP stood up for herself here, and I think the parents are as much to blame as the sister. The OP had been asking for a lock for a while, but the parents weren't budging. As soon as they knew the sister would be living there, they should have gotten OP a lock, given the sister's past. Hopefully this taught the parents a lesson, and they'll actually listen to OP about her concerns in the future. How do you guys think the parents should have handled this? Am I the a-hole for calling my husband unreasonable for canceling the holiday trip just because me and the kids couldn't help him in an emergency? My husband and I have been together for 4 years. I have 2 kids, 17 male and 19 female, and their half-brother is 3 years old. This past week, my husband had a medical emergency and wanted someone to watch our son. He asked my older son, and he refused because he was going out with friends. He also asked my daughter, but she locked herself in her room to study. I was at the restaurant with my brother, meeting his girlfriend for the first time. My husband ended up taking our son with him to the hospital, and his mom watched him from there. He came home and was lashing out on everybody, calling us selfish and unfeeling. I tried to explain that the kids were busy, but he told me to get the F out with that bowl, because my older son could have skipped the hangout and watched his brother, and my daughter could have watched her brother while studying instead of locking herself in her room. He scolded me as well, but I told him I couldn't leave lunch with my brother since he was visiting town, and this was my only chance to meet his girlfriend. He yelled some more, then told us that he was canceling the family holiday trip for Christmas this year. The two older kids were upset and said it was unfair. I called him unreasonable to cancel the trip and punish the kids, and possibly me, like that. He refused to discuss it later. Now me and the kids aren't speaking to him, and he's saying good riddance. Edit. My husband was supposed to watch our son at the time. That's why I went to see my brother at the restaurant. The kids aren't used to watching their brother when neither parent is home. Update. My husband just told us that he'll be spending Christmas with his family, saying he needs to be around his dad anyway. The kids said they will just go to their dad since they and my husband are still not talking. Neither of the kids are happy with how things turned out. So I feel like things have gotten out of hand and the problem has gotten bigger. He's now choosing to basically abandon us on Christmas and also keep our son away from me and his siblings. The husband definitely wasn't unreasonable, and the OP and her children were very selfish. It sounds like the 3-year-old son is the husband's biological kid, and the 2 older ones are the OP's biological kids, which makes it even worse, as the OP is clearly showing how little she cares for her husband's kid and how entitled her kids are. If you can't show up for your husband in a time of emergency, especially a medical emergency, it shows how big of a problem you are. Do you guys think the OP is being unreasonable, or the husband? Am I the a-hole for giving my stepdad a sign that says, "You are not the father," during Christmas dinner? My mom and stepdad have been together since I was 5, married since I was 6, and I'm now 20. My dad passed away when I was 5. He and mom were separated, but not divorced when he passed away, and mom started dating my stepdad a few weeks later. I met him about 5 months after my dad passed, and he moved in with us after a year, and they married 14 months after that. My mom really wanted me to have a dad and found my stepdad a good partner and someone who could be a good dad to me. Only I never wanted another dad, so I always called him by his first name and referred to him as my stepdad. He and I have butted heads over this a lot. He thinks I should be his daddy's little girl. I think it's crazy that he feels I owe him that, and owed him from the start. It annoys me how often he likes to bring up that my dad's not alive, and the fact I hardly remember him, because a lot of my memories faded with time. And when I was 7, my grandpa passed away, who raised my dad after my grandma passed when my dad was a baby. So I lost all contact with that side. The older I get, the worse it gets. And even with 3 boys, he's still focused on me being his little girl. I have told him that I appreciate him, but I won't ever call him dad. I spent a lot of time with mom's parents as a kid and have a bedroom at their house. We had Christmas at their house this year, and all morning my stepdad was bringing up these stories of adult stepkids asking stepparents to adopt them and told me I would be asking him soon enough after all these years. He found this article on Facebook about a woman asking her stepmom to adopt her, where she talked about it being insulting to call her stepmom because she was always a mom to her. He said that was him with me, how I only ever had him as a dad, etc. It got on my nerves. I told him to stop. So did Grandma, who told him nobody wanted to hear about that at Christmas, but he would not let up. So I went up to my room at my grandparents', grabbed some old art supplies I still had there, and made a sign that said, "Jason, stepdad's name, you are not the father of Gracie, me." Think The Maury Show, and how that was like a meme for a while. When dinner was ready, I brought down the sign and gave it to him and told him whenever he needs to remember, he can look at it and adjust his expectations. He was ticked off. My grandparents and half-brothers laughed. The oldest of my brothers actually said his dad needed something like that because he never seemed to understand it. My mom tried to calm him down, but he told me I was an ungrateful and disrespectful little girl who would be sad when he finally gave up caring about me. I told him I never asked him to be a jerk to me, but to accept I will never call him dad and will never allow him to adopt me. I told him we could be close if he'd just accept I don't see him as my dad. My mom wants me to apologize, but my grandparents think he should apologize for always pushing. Am I the a-hole? I think the OP had to do something like that to get it in the stepdad's head. She clearly told him many times she doesn't see him as her father, and so she won't refer to him as that. So the fact he kept pushing for it must have been frustrating, and I think I may have done something similar in a situation like this. Some people may find it harsh, but the stepdad clearly wasn't respecting OP's boundaries, which would institute a scenario like this. But what do you guys think?